Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's Hump Day Wednesday. It's another overcast day, so El Niña is really expressing herself with these moist conditions. I think it's been a fairly wet November, and it looks like December is going to be a little bit awkward as well from a moisture and a weather perspective. But it is what it is, as they say, and it's another day for us to celebrate our lives and all the beautiful things and people that we have around us. What I want to do today in Jim's 5am Club is to do another book summary, and the book summary that I've chosen to deliver this morning is an interesting one and a very powerful one. I found it really useful, and there's a lot of lessons here for each and every one of us. And the book is entitled The Alter Ego Effect by an author named Todd Herman. So this book is all about how to go about accessing the strengths and the power that we have available to us, and to make use of some really interesting psychological hacks that I guess most of us are already using anyway. So it shouldn't be, I guess, new learning for most of us, because a lot of us have been doing this most of our lives, I would imagine. So the author kicks off the book with an interesting quote where he says that everything you need already exists within you. So the key lesson, the key call to action from this book is that we need to learn how to access it and leverage the superpowers that exist in all of us. And I guess the best metaphor that the author uses is he uses an example, a personal example of somebody that I guess most of us know and appreciate. And he talks about Beyonce, the super performer, the super businesswoman who has transformed the space that she exists in, and has set a standard that very few people can reach. But what he says is Beyonce came from a very Christian family, and her dancing, her provocative moves was something that were fairly awkward to her based on her Christian upbringing and based on her family environment. And in order for her to, I guess, get beyond it and to leverage it and to not allow it to hold her back, she accessed an alter ego. Sorry, let me just clear my throat. And that alter ego that she had inside of her, that she would turn to help her break out of her skin, break out of her fears, is a character named Sarah Fierce. So Beyonce had somebody that she would turn to. She'd have a go-to character, an imaginary character called Sarah Fierce. And she needed this character in order to help her, lead her to break free from her initial identity, to enable her to momentarily take on a new role, a new personhood, to express her competitive, her creative, her dance style side of her personality. So whenever she was on stage, whenever she was in her element, she called and she created this new character And for each and every one of us, the author says that we too can borrow strength, we can borrow permission from our own imaginary hero or heroes that can reside within us. It's pretty powerful. It's a pretty powerful concept, and it's a book summary that I'm so happy that I came across, especially this time of year when we're all struggling to find strength with all the COVID, with all the pandemic, with all the challenges that we face. We need to tap in to our own superheroes in order to express ourselves freely and become better versions of ourselves. So the first formal point to come out of this book is where the author talks about the 5 categories of change that we need to be able to identify in order to improve our lives and to eventually find our alter ego or our alter egos. So he says that creating an alter ego will help us access our silent attributes. Hey, Toga, how you going, mate? Because he says that we all have these silent strengths that we have sitting within us, that unless we invite them, unless we prize them and remove them from their little hiding places, we won't get to be and to express who we really want to be. So the 5 sort of categories that the author talks about is that we need to consider the things that we need to stop, the things we need to start, the things that we need to continue doing, and the things we need to do less of or more of. And all of these things are at our power or at our resource. So we're invited to use these psychological hacks to leverage our alter ego in order to enable us to live our lives where we can break free of our limiting thought patterns, our limiting comfort zone, to be able to grow and become bigger, better expressions of who we are and to reach our potential. So the author says that we can use these alter egos to build strength and to do more of certain things, but we can also tap into alter egos to do less of and to eliminate certain things. So the second formal point to come out of this book is where the author says that we need to give our destructive emotions an alter ego as well and detach from them in difficult times. So what we can do, according to the author, is to develop another alter ego. We can have multiple alter egos depending on what we're trying to achieve and the challenges that we're trying to overcome. So that he says that you can also have the alter ego that enables us to repress destructive emotions. And we can use this to change the way we talk about ourselves to ourselves. For example, for people who have performance anxiety or other sorts of challenges and issues, you can take these anxieties, these problems, these challenges, and project them onto a new person in your mind, and then simply distance yourself from that person for a particular period, or when you're in a particular circle of people, or at work, or wherever. So for example, if you're shy, you can project that shyness onto another character and then put that character in a corner for a little bit of time to free you up to be who you need to be, to do your work, to do your socializing. We could always use this alter ego concept to our benefit. I've noticed that a lot of cartoons these days, and I can imagine a lot of the TV programs that we grew up with, helped us with this whole alter ego concept. I noticed that my granddaughters love Paw Patrol, which are puppies which have different attributes, different strengths, different characters for different situations. And a particular character trait is invited to solve a particular problem. So I guess from a child's perspective, they too can become a particular pup or a particular Paw Patrol hero when they're having a certain issue to solve that particular problem. So it's interesting, you know, like when I was growing up, we had Batman, we had Superman, we had Gilligan, we had all of these different cartoon characters. Mickey Mouse, for example, where you could just take on their character depending on the situation. And a lot of our humour, a lot of our personality, especially for the people who grew up in the 60s, the baby boomers of the 50s and 60s. Now, a lot of the comedy, a lot of the comic, a lot of the things that you'd say were things that are borrowed from those cartoon characters that we had when we were growing up. So I'm going to jump on this train like I normally do. But the author says and reminds us and invites us to align the attributes of our alter egos with our goals, and then access this super persona when you need them most. So, you know, I was just thinking a little bit more about it during this morning, and you know, it becomes a lot more interesting and a lot more logical and rational when you think that most of our lives have been surrounded by these alter egos. For example, within our religions, we have our saints who we can call on. A lot of people, when they've got an issue or a problem, will ask themselves, you know, what would Jesus do in this situation? You know, we've got our saints, we've got the Virgin Mary, we've got all of these personas that we can call on to help solve different problems, and people that we can call on to help us in times of need. As I mentioned before, as we were growing up, we had our superheroes. We've also got our sports stars. We've got our comic and cartoon heroes, and a whole host of role models that we have around us that we can model, we can mimic, and we can borrow from. So the author here says that a call to action for each and every one of us is to become, where possible, an impersonator, where we can resonate emotionally with our go-to alter ego on call. But the key is not to overcomplicate it, according to what this author says, and most importantly, to find what is best for you, what works for you, and then exploit it. So what a wonderful, wonderful message to kick off Hump Day Wednesday with. This book, The Alter Ego Effect by Todd Herman, a powerful message for each and every one of us, and something that we can all consider and to incorporate into our skill set of things that we can use, life hacks, psychological hacks that work for some other people, and most certainly could possibly work for us as well. So thank you for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. I welcome the opportunity every single day to get together so that we can become and be partners in each other's growth and development, where we can live, learn and pass it on, where we can take pieces of information, OPE, other people's experiences, and consider it at least and incorporate it into our own life experiences.
Doors closing. Please stand clear.
I look forward to coming to you again from a different place with a different message of empowerment. And I wish you a productive Wednesday. Even though it's overcast, I'm sure that we'll find a way to make the most of this day and each day forward. Take care, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.